Hello and welcome to the final episode of this season's NAIT NewsWatch.
Yeah, we're super excited to show you the features we've been working so hard on this semester. We'll kick our finale off with a story we've been covering all semester, tuition.
Student life on a budget is never easy, so NAIT's announcement of a temporary tuition hike through the 2023-24 school year has students fearful on what's to come. NAIT recently announced a rise in tuition across almost every program within the Polytechnic by an average of 5.5%. This raise isn't consistent for every program, though, as the skilled trade programs are being hit the hardest.
Well, I think it's just not that fair, especially for the people who can't afford it or the people who don't get extra funding. I just don't think it's not that much necessary.
Xander's program is seeing a 10.5% increase in tuition, which is a tough pill to swallow, but it's a price he has to pay, as automotives have been his passion since he was young. NAIT says that the increase has nothing to do with taking money from students, but a way to combat the rising prices of running a program.
Absolutely, there is a need for funding for apprenticeship programs. We're seeing an increased demand for apprenticeship programs across most of our portfolios. With that, apprenticeship tuition doesn't cover the full cost of delivering on those apprenticeship seats. And so we're looking for the government to help support us in being able to offer the number of apprenticeship seats that we need in order to meet the demand of the province.
The raise in tuition mainly covers things like equipment and instruction, but other minor fees like using the Wi-Fi are being implemented after the school increased its quality.
I don't think it does. So far my time here has been, I like the equipment, I like everything here. I don't really mind the Wi-Fi. I use data most of the time anyway. I don't think it's justified.
Students like Xander are full-time, but there are people who are already in the workforce who want to be able to get their accreditation while also working in the field. NAIT offers a part-time program for students like these, and they're also seeing a raise.
From a tuition side, from our credit programs, so that's our certificate and our diploma programs, we have ability to set those based on what we see for other comparators, other institutes that might be offering similar programming. And then we, from a tuition increase perspective, we are bound by what the government allows us to increase tuition, just like every other program that is a credit program across the province.
A big problem for post-secondary students is time management. With the increase in tuition, students are having to sacrifice their free time in order to make sure that they can afford school.
Well, yeah, I got less time to hang out, more time studying and working, and especially around the holidays is tough.
Some students might think that it's just smarter to get an entry-level job in a shop and work their way up without attending courses. But NAIT strongly believes that it's better to educate yourself before joining the workforce, which makes needing to pay the tuition more necessary.
Apprenticeship programming is really important because it provides a pathway into a post-secondary style education and really helps to enhance some of the skills that students are already going to have learned on the job and provide some of the theoretical background that's going to help.
Xander may have to work even more as tuition is expected to raise after this year. Although NAIT is known as a cheaper alternative for post-secondary in Alberta compared to other schools, some people are still concerned about the price of tuition going up over the years. NAIT says that as inflation goes up, tuition will too, but they're going to stay within the laws of the Government of Alberta regarding the tuition cap. For NewsWatch Extra, I'm Aidan Gannam.
Fast fashion, which is described as an inexpensive clothing item produced rapidly by mass market retailers, is starting to take a toll on the environment.
Yeah, and some are wondering how to slow down its damaging effects. Our Nadia Curl has more on this.
Thanks, guys. I'm at the mall, which seems innocent enough, but almost 20% of all clothing stores are comprised of fast fashion. Fast fashion brands utilize poor labor practices to make large amounts of clothing that keep up with fashion trends. So while it's stylish and light on the pockets, sometimes it's best to consider other alternatives.
It's been taught that fast fashion uses harmful labor practices and isn't the most ethical way to shop for that reason. But another reason that is beginning to creep up is the negative impact it has on the environment.
It's pretty awful. I think people need to remember the clothes that they already have in their closets. I know it's like you want to feel something fresh and that you want to wear, like something brand new. But I think the thrift store is a great way to do that without contributing to fast fashion. And remember that you can repair your things and dry clean your things and it will make it feel like it's brand new.
The plastic fibers used in fast fashion clothing is polluting the oceans and the wastewater, and according to the UN, the fashion industry contributes 8 to 10% to global warming, and almost 20% of that is due to fast fashion.
It's contributing to like really quick trends, and people like throw that stuff out really fast. They wear it like 1 or 2 times, and by the time that they've worn it, the trend's already gone, and it really supports stuff like that. So I think it's just wasteful and not good for the environment, clearly.
According to Earth.org, out of the 100 billion garments produced each year, 92 million tons end up in landfills. And the number will only continue to increase, with social media increasing how quickly trends come and go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I always mainly shopped secondhand, but definitely like it's more of a goal of mine to just delete those fast fashion apps on your phone and you just won't be tempted.
Whether it's a consignment store or a thrift store, shopping secondhand is a good solution to stopping the rise of fast fashion, and the environmentally conscious are eager to put more people onto their kind of shopping.
I tend to mostly go thrift shopping myself, but my friends, we like to, it's like an event now. It's like, let's go thrifting and see like what crazy stuff we can find. So I think it's becoming a lot more popular for younger people to try to find like good finds there and stuff.
With consignment stores even giving those who give away their clothes some money in return, secondhand shopping is a great alternative to buying from fast fashion brands, and it's becoming more popular by the day.
I think the more that you talk about it in your friend groups and just talk about how cool it is and that you really aren't contributing negatively to the environment, I think it rubs off on people and there's less of like, oh, that's kind of gross. Like, just wash it. It'll be fine.
While there's no telling if or when going thrift shopping will become the new going to the mall, secondhand shopping is certainly giving ordinary shopping a run for its money, and many hope for it to completely take over. Nadia Curl, NewsWatch Extra.
Aiden, I'm curious, have you ever wondered how they made Thanos from Infinity War?
They used motion capture, right? He looked really good in that movie.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Aiden. And our own Roy Navarro went down to a local studio to learn more about it.
Thanks, guys. In our day and age, motion capture has become a prominent process in showcasing the creativity of artists in different mediums. Though an expensive venture, a motion capture studio in the city may be the key to letting more artists use this process.
Motion capture. We've seen examples of this process in many different forms of media. We've seen it used to elevate performances in movies by capturing the emotions of actors. We've seen it used in video games to create an immersive experience for their players. For years, however, this kind of technology would be kept in places where the movie and video game industry were already big. But now, this technology has found its way here in Edmonton.
And rolling.
Funded by the Canada Foundation for Innovation, the Government of Alberta's Research Capacity Program, and NAIT back in 2018, the studio came to be in 2020.
We are in the motion capture lab. This is called the volume. And what occurs in the volume is infrared lasers are effectively reflecting off of markers, which are then going back to the cameras for reconstruction.
This 2,000 square feet studio is equipped with 20 infrared cameras pointed at a large square, props with dots all around them, and full body suits for actors to wear. But how does any of this produce what we've seen on our screens?
Yeah, so what's happening right now is we're live streaming what's happening inside this motion capture volume on these markers to a game engine. So we're able to just kind of make the connection between the actor and what potentially can happen in a virtual production.
Skylar was initially based in Vancouver, working for multiple studios as an animator for 7 years, but then moved to Edmonton for the opportunity to create the volume.
It's a unique opportunity because the ecosystem here is still growing. It does have an ecosystem, so there are amazing companies that are here. However, I'm always cheering for the underdog in a way, And here I am in Edmonton, and I'm just here to support this ecosystem and bring my talents here.
Right now, I'm wearing one of the mocap suits that were provided here in this studio, and I may look just a little goofy, but right now on the screen, I'm a computer-generated character wielding what looks like a sword. With this technology readily available here in Edmonton, the video game industry might just see a boom.
Many different aspiring video game developers move out to places like Vancouver or Toronto to pursue a career in the video game industry. But people like Crystal McCord stayed here in the city and began working for BioWare back in 2015.
Yeah, I came on and started working on Mass Effect Andromeda as a contractor.
Starting her time in BioWare as a performance capture manager, Crystal knows just how expensive it is to rent out a motion capture studio located somewhere else.
So we usually actually have to fly to Vancouver and go to the motion capture studios that they have there. And we found out that NAIT has their own motion capture studio now. And it was really fantastic to be able to just go in a local studio and quickly capture motion capture.
The video game industry is a powder keg that's about to explode, with developers all around the province and even those outside of it having eyes set on Edmonton as a new place to grow their bases.
So we're actually seeing a lot of people come in from Vancouver, from Toronto. We recently brought someone in from Hawaii.
Both local indie and AAA video game developers now have the opportunity to create games that can go toe-to-toe against those created worldwide.
And that's a wrap.
I'm Roy Navarro, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
A sneak peek of our next segment, Edmonton is a city that's rich in history, and the Yardbird Jazz Suite is a part of it. Having been open for 66 years, Yardbird has entertained music lovers for decades. Our own Kriya Brott has more on how Yardbird Suite is making an impact in the city and all over the world.
Thanks, guys. I'm here at Yardbird Jazz Suite. It's one of the last jazz clubs in Canada. You can come here on Tuesday and Thursday nights for jam sessions that host local and international artists every week. Let's go see what Yardbird has in store. When you think about jazz, you probably think about swing jazz and swanky clubs while sipping cocktails. What a lot of people seem to forget, though, is that jazz originated in the African American communities of New Orleans, Louisiana, in the late 19th century. Jazz was a combination of many different cultures put together, but its origins date back to the African American slaves on plantations singing work songs. Many early jazz musicians played in the bars and brothels of the red light district during the prohibitions, as it was illegal to play jazz music during this time period.
It was a place for musicians to play. They created their own place to play here, to check out the competition and to start making new connections.
The Yardbird Jazz Suite Club here in Edmonton is one of the oldest jazz clubs in Canada. It opened in 1957, making it one of Canada's longest standing jazz clubs. One of the things that set apart Yardbird Jazz Suite is that the venue is completely run and maintained by volunteers, except for the executive director, Todd Cranshaw.
I was 5 years old and I've got this Polaroid snapshot in my brain of sitting on my dad's shoulders at the back of the room watching late great Senator Tommy Banks and one of his big bands.
The venue runs with 4 to 6 volunteers during shows from September to June and relies on memberships and donations as it is a non-profit. It is also home to a program called Little Birds. This program aims to launch the next generation of jazz players by coaching students and providing a space for them to tap into their musical talents. Though Yardbird Jazz Suite has set its roots here in Edmonton, it has hosted many famous jazz players from around the world. Just recently, Yardbird Suite invited Kinva, a traditional ethnic jazz Ukrainian band, to play their new album in hopes to continue and raise support and awareness for the war in Ukraine.
Kinva, it's old Ukrainian word which describes a vessel, wooden mug-like vessel which can store liquids.
Band members Anastasia Latvinyak and her partner Igor Hayden had to leave behind one of their band members as he was enlisted to fight in the army. The pair fled with their young daughter to Poland, where they met bass player Roman Kraniak to record Kinva.
For us, jazz music, it's our life. We every time live with this music, and this music helping to us to be who we are. and travel and play. So this is like our music. This music like our religion.
Throughout the years, Yardbird Suite continues to evolve and give back to their community through the gift of music.
To me, this is a part of my family's history. My parents dated here, so it's I can't tell you what a thrill it is to end up working at a place like this.
The Jazz Club has seen the rise and fall of many iconic Edmonton and international artists, all while surviving the trials and tribulations of a global pandemic. After 66 years, the Yardbird Jazz Suite really does prove that jazz never dies. Kira brought NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Coming up after the break, we'll explore the fun of thrifting or buying clothes secondhand. Then we'll take our hands off the controller to find more about the world of gaming.
Yeah, and we'll also take a stroll through memory lane and the 100-year tradition of the Strathcona Cup, one of the oldest curling tournaments ever. And we'll find out about a rare disease and how a local business owner deals with it. Stay with us.
Welcome back, everyone. Cheap, unique, and so much history. As concerns about the environment continue to grow, more and more people are turning to thrifting as a sustainable way to dress. Not only are they affordable, you also get one-of-a-kind pieces that hold so much history from the people who have worn it before. Our Shania Fausto has more on that story.
Thanks, guys. Over 150 million of goods are donated to the Salvation Army in Canada alone. Donating to thrift stores can give clothing, furniture, and other things a second home, which also help reduce the amount of waste that ends up in landfills. With the fashion industry being one of the biggest polluters in the world, consumers can help reduce the environmental impact that textile waste brings when they shop at thrift stores. Thrifting is like digging through the mud to find gold. And this has been Daryl and Micah's favorite hobby ever since they were teens.
I started thrifting when I was around 15. My friend in high school at the time, actually. I really liked her style and I would always ask her where she got her clothes.
At a young age, Micah and Daryl started to get conscious about their buying habits and how it can affect the environment.
In the world, so much is being wasted every single day, and that clothing piece, depending on what fiber content it is, it can be very impactful to the environment if it's not decomposable.
With trends that come and go, the fast fashion industry is making a lot of profit by overproducing products that are cheap. But why is it that people still choose to shop at vintage stores?
The big selling point for vintage is the quality. So these clothes have already been around for 20 to 100 years, and they still have something left to give you.
The thousands of hangers in thrift shops that carry unique stories for each clothing it holds can make it hard to turn a blind eye when these clothes hold such a deep history of the people who wore it before.
I've definitely seen a rise and increase of vintage in the past few years since I've been selling it. I think it's just the nostalgia of everyone reliving the 90s and seeing what great trends those were, and really vintage, 90s vintage at least, what is what I sell, never goes out of style.
From teenagers to adults and to elders, everyone can find something they feel connected to when they shop at vintage stores.
If we're talking about the online demographic, anywhere from 18 to people in their 60s, 70s, I've had buy from me, and we're talking in markets, literally every demographic I've seen.
It's no question that buying from thrift stores or vintage stores is better than buying fast fashion. You'll get a bunch of options for a really cheap price. You're not only saving your money, but you're also saving the environment and style. This is Shania Fausto for NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
If you've ever broken a bone or dislocated a joint, you know how painful that can be. Now, imagine not having a choice in that happening. For Destiny Meyer, this is the reality of the world that she lives in.
That's right. Every sneeze, every cough, every movement that we take for granted can land her right in the hospital room. Adrienne St. Onge brings it light to one of the more uncommon diseases.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm actually here in the control room where Destiny Mayer, a radio and television grad, spent some of her time. Now for Destiny, she's more of a performer, so she tried taking her skills as that performer from the park to the small screen. Like most children, Destiny Mayer grew up surrounded by Disney princesses. From a young age, she performed in her drama classes and took interest in production, AV, and broadcasting. This blossomed into a passion for performance and drew her closer and closer to her high school's advanced theater class, where she later met her partner, Joshua Gwads. Before leaving high school, Destiny created princesses in the park as a way to continue her passion for performing, bringing life to characters inspired by Disney's Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty. Never satisfied and looking for another creative outlet, Destiny and Josh enrolled in NAIT's radio and television program. For Des, this was something out of a fairy tale. Business was booming, she was about to undertake a career in journalism, and she had her Prince Charming by her side.
I woke up one morning with tingling in my left arm, and I was like, oh, that's a little weird. It felt funny, but I was like, oh, I probably just slept on it weird. And then I got up to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't get off the toilet. Like, I physically couldn't lift my body weight off. I couldn't move. And so I was like, oh, that's not good. And then I got pins and needles in my legs, and I was nauseous. And then when I got from sitting to standing, my heart rate jumped from 60 beats per minute to 160.
Now in the springtime, walking through places like Victoria Park here, it was quite commonplace to see Destiny practicing and honing her craft. But with doctors being unable to find the reason of her ailment, it left her untreated and undiagnosed for months. This left her using a cane, a walker, and eventually a wheelchair.
I don't know, the whole thing is just a learning experience through and through. It's definitely a test of fortitude, I find, mainly for her, but it's difficult being a person who likes to help somebody and help when you can, and you can't really do anything in situations like this. So you kind of just sit there and twiddle your thumbs.
Her condition did not improve. She would go on to drop over 50 pounds, her heart rate was consistently fluctuating to extreme levels, and she would faint, risking dislocation of her joints. Destiny was eventually diagnosed with type 3 Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a connective tissue disorder, and POTS, a disorder in the autonomic system which regulates someone's heart rate and blood pressure. Symptoms could be seen even in her youth. She would bruise easily, her wrists would dislocate while holding hands, and once dislocated her shoulder washing her hair. Des also suffered a major injury while on the high school cheer team.
In cheer, I did a round off, which is a pretty low impact task. It's a cartwheel where you clap your legs together and land flat. But my knee, I ruptured both my meniscus, I dislocated my kneecap, I pulled my hamstring and tore all the ligaments in my knee. And they were like, you are gonna need surgery. But I was able to kind of manage it with physio, so I never got the surgery, luckily.
Despite the lifestyle changes, the chronic pain, and the challenges that come with performing, it's brought her and Josh closer.
He's been there through it all. Nothing has fazed him, which is super impressive because that shows I found the best one out there.
She flatters me.
Adrienne St. Onge, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Gaming is a hobby many are interested in, from watching your favorite streamers on Twitch to maybe even gaming yourself.
Yeah, let's take a deep dive into how Edmonton has experienced a boom in the gaming industry in recent years. Our Mohammed Jama has more on this.
Or Overwatch. They don't want you guys to be going through those. Rocket League, you guys can go.
Vimy Ridge, a school that allows students to do a multitude of different programs, recently came out with an esports program where junior high students get the chance to build skills in a variety of games and play in tournaments with their classmates.
We want our student athletes to be competitive and coachable. So that means that, if we're training on a specific game, we want them to be able to sit down and focus on their training and developing.
Travis Bouchard, program head, wants to build a culture at Vimy where any student of any skill level can get involved in the esports program and grow their love for gaming. He also wants an environment where all students can thrive and do their best.
Just want people who have a passion for esports. There's not even, even some of the kids who started here didn't have much esports specific experience. They wanted to do a little more, or they had more experience in like single player games and things like that. And so they've learned kind of on the job here.
The students at Vimy get to learn a bunch of skills in their esports program that they probably wouldn't have learned before, like how to edit their own highlight packs, how to use OBS to record gameplay. These are skills that will help the students in the future if they don't want to be a pro but still want to be involved in the gaming scene.
As long as they're enjoying it and as long as it's something that they're interested and passionate about, it's something that's worth pursuing, right? I think that's just an important part of education, is finding things that are important to you and going after them. So
students at Vimy have a unique opportunity. They play video games to earn credits to help them pass their courses in school, just like any other option class in junior high. But bringing their own equipment is optional.
If you guys are not eligible to attend Vimy because you're past high school, don't worry. Edmonton has a matinee of places that you can go with your friends, hang out, and even play some of your guys' favorite video games together.
Overclocked has been in Edmonton for over 11 years and brings gamers an experience that's very unique.
We still get so many people. We get regulars, we get new people. A lot of people have never heard of this place. We're one of a kind. We're one of the few places like this in Alberta. I think we're the only one in Edmonton, and I think the only other ones in like Calgary.
Overclocked gives you the opportunity to go hang out with your friends in a chill environment, or even go by yourself and just enjoy gaming with some of the best equipment in the world.
First time, make a brand new account, and then, in a couple weeks, they're kind of chatting with some of our other patrons, right? Our other customers, and maybe they're playing the same games. Maybe they recognize like, hey, you made a great play there, and they're just chatting. And
their facilities allow a wide variety of age ranges to come game and enjoy themselves for a few hours and just have fun.
Things like Fortnite, right? Escape the Backrooms, which is a horror game that is really popular for all demographics. I'll see children like around 10, 11 years old playing it, and I'll see grown men around 30 years old play it at the same time. It's, we're not limiting ourselves.
With gaming only growing from here on out, and an expected annual growth rate of 12.9% globally, Edmonton is just trying to be a part of an ever-growing phenomenon in our global world. Mohammed Jama, NewsWatch Extra.
It's not often Canada and Scotland are mentioned in the same breath, but these two countries share more than great food, music, and friendly culture. They also share a great passion for the sport of curling.
Yeah, exactly. For the past century, they have continued a tradition that began in 1903, the same year that the Wright brothers invented motor-operated flight. Haggis, bagpipes, and rocky terrain. Scotland's history speaks for itself. This includes the curling world, where Canada has also left its mark. These two countries have been rivals in a little-known but highly coveted contest known as the Strathcona Cup for over 100 years. Each country swaps hosting duties every 5 years. This tournament features a West, Central, and Eastern tour from Victoria, BC to St. John's, Newfoundland. In Sherwood Park, this is only one small drop in a big bucket. This historic face-off is also drawing attention from the next generation of curling.
No, it's really cool, and I mean, definitely an honor for all these teams that get to play. Like, I'm super happy just to see the sport still going like this. Like, events like this are kind of what started curling, and obviously, I said it's been going for 100+ years. So, just super happy I got to carry the Canada flag and represent Canada this morning. But no, it's definitely pretty meaningful to still see the sport going like this.
Jackson had a busy February. He represented his province at Nationals in Ontario, then for the Canada Winter Games in PEI. However, he has bigger aspirations for himself.
For me, I really want to go to the Olympics for Team Canada and see if I can win an Olympic medal and go to the Brier and try and win world championships. Like, that's kind of why we train now. So looking a few years down the road, definitely for sure, but that'd be the end goal, is to see if we could win the Olympics.
For Godfrey Hubritz, he's already hit the international stage representing Canada in 2018. Through a smile, he explains that this is a special opportunity to curl against the Scots, as some players may not get the chance to do it again.
For Canadians, for us in our club, we only get this opportunity once every 10 years, so it's real special that they're here.
For Brian Yates, a lead for the Scottish team, he hopes the Rocks spin his way. But it was some other Rocks that stick in his mind from this visit.
The favourite memory would be the plane ride that we took to Edmonton over the Rockies. And we got a clear day for it. It was spectacular.
While both teams are very respectful off of the ice, temperatures heat up on the ice.
Whereas Scotland have got good curlers right at the elite level, but it doesn't filter down so much as you have in Canada.
But it's also something that we hope at the end of the day Canada will come out on top.
While these guys have been in fierce competition for the entire month of February, for these 1,400 curlers, this is bigger than the game.
The event today is about fun and camaraderie and meeting some of our curling friends from across the pond.
Because we've exchanged pins, cards, and from the last tours that I've been told about, some of those Scots and Canadians stay friends for years afterwards, you know. So yes, it will be the friendships that I have made here, which will continue, and hopefully some of the players that we play against just now will come to Scotland in 5 years' time, and we'll be able to put them up as well and give them hospitality as good as we've had here. Yeah.
2 world wars and a couple pandemics hasn't stopped the Strathcona Cup. Now, over 100 years later, it seems like nothing can get in the way.
And are you hoping maybe one day, eventually, once you're well done your career, you'll join some of the guys from Team Canada?
Yeah, I think so. It looks pretty fun, get to travel and do all that. Definitely a different experience than we're doing competitive, so I definitely want to do this when I'm older, yeah.
The visitors put up a good fight in Edmonton, but Canada did end up winning the Cup after a full tour of almost 30 locations and 85 curling rinks from coast to coast. Each one gave these curling elders from 2 proud nations a chance to compete, but also to celebrate a sport they both love on and off the ice. Kela Perrault, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Well, 3 semesters, 23 classes, and 16 total shows through the year. Caleb, what a journey it's been.
I couldn't agree more, Aiden. It's been a pleasure and an honor to bring you the news that NAIT cares about. On behalf of the entire team and staff, thank you.
And don't worry, a brand new edition of NAIT NewsWatch will be back in the fall with a new roster. As we head off into practicum, I think it's safe to say we'll remember this time fondly.
Ladies and gentlemen, for one last time, thank you and good night.